So that's kind of the whole message, to be honest. It really is. The whole message is that the hero lies in you. But I want to just tell you a little story when I was a little boy. So when I was a little boy, one of my biggest heroes was Superman. Anybody else? Yeah. Right? Superman. Thank you, Ray. Right. And why? Because I loved the fact that he was Clark Kent. Because I saw myself as Clark Kent. Because I saw myself as this, and I was, this awkward, skinny, extrovert with a big mouth who got into everybody's face, even though I was this skinny little kid. So I was bullied a lot. In fact, when I was putting this talk together, I thought about this one day, and it was my fault. I totally get that it was my fault, that I was really annoying this group of high schoolers, really annoying them, and I was like 7. And I was like running in and out of them, and I was trying to screw up their football game because I didn't want to play it. And so I'm like, and finally they picked me up and put me in a trash can. Literally, put me in a trash can, put the lid on, and then kicked it, and then said, "You don't come out of here till we tell you." I spent a long time in that trash can. And I was thinking about this. I was like, I almost didn't want to share it. I was like, do I really want people to think of me as somebody who was put inside of a trash can? Yes, I do. Because that's part of my history, part of who I am. And I thought about this in terms of Clark Kent. Think about all the people that used to make fun of Clark Kent or push him, just begging him to do something. But you knew what was inside of him. Well, I did too. So the title of my talk today is, first this quote. This is Christopher Reeves, obviously. "There is a superhero in all of us, Jimmy. We just need the courage to put it on the cape." Well, of course he was talking to me, because I am Jimmy. I was Jimmy. But I remember it wasn't Clark Kent who said it, it was someone else. I mean, it wasn't Christopher Reeves, but he's my favorite Superman. Anybody else? Is he your favorite Superman? Yeah. Henry Carville's nice too. There was something inside of me I knew. I just knew. There was something bigger inside of me. So what a better inspiration than a guy who looks like this nerd, who's very weak, who all he has to do is reach inside, pull open the shirt, and out comes a superhero. Because there's a hero inside of all of us. So how do I translate that for me in my life? Well, I think for a long time, I grew up, I went to New York, I made a big deal out of myself in New York, and then even after that, there was still the skinny, awkward kid inside the Broadway star at the time, who was playing one of the most masculine characters ever written for a Broadway stage at that time. But inside, I was still Clark Kent, even though I appeared to have it all going for me. But I was Clark Kent. I didn't see me as most people saw me back then. I saw me still as that skinny kid who gets stuck into trash cans. Until I found Eric Butterworth. And I started that journey of trying to understand what's really inside of me. And it's not really the big S unless we call that spirit. That there is spirit inside of me. There is the truth inside of me. And, as Clark Kent said, I have to be willing to put on the cape. So my question to you today is, are you, Diane, willing to put on the cape?
Absolutely.
Yes, I know you are. So the title of my talk today is The Caped Crusader. Now here's what's funny. The Caped Crusader. Do you know what the name of my high school football team's? The Crusaders. We were the Crusaders. But I was caped. I was actually covered. I was the hidden crusader. And I want to thank Lori Savage for finding this, because she sent me a bunch of images, but she found this one, and I was like, this is it. There's something inside of you here this morning that would you tap into it, you would find your infinite power, tapping into that power. So the Caped Crusader, I want to read you what Christopher Reeves wrote about playing Superman. He said, "What makes Superman a hero is not that he has power, but that he has the wisdom and the maturity to use the power wisely." From an acting point of view, that's how I approach the part. We all know Christopher Reeve's life story. You probably don't know that Christopher Reeve's birthday is the same as mine. Isn't that interesting? Talk about a hero. He was the quintessential hero in films. He was Superman, the Superman for my generation, certainly. But this part, what makes a Superman is not the power, because obviously he lost a lot of his human power as he got older. But his wisdom and maturity, his heroic way of living life has inspired all of us in one way or another to see someone stay. And I was privileged enough to know Christopher and to know him before the accident and after the accident. And he has always been a huge inspiration to me. So the question I have so many questions for us this morning, but one of the questions is, what is it that keeps us covered up? What is it that keeps us living in personalities and in roles that don't allow us to shine forth? What is it in your life, what is it in my life that stops me from going forward? That stops me from really showing the world who I am? I often think to myself, if I ever really open up and let out what is in here to let out, oh my God, could you imagine more of me? But there is more of me, just like there is so much more of you than what you're willing to unleash. And that's really what today is all about. So this week in ministerial, all of the students were asked to do a video of a Ralph Waldo Emerson essay. And they had to do a video and then show it in class. All the students in class had to watch the video, take notes, and then write an essay on what they just saw. So that it was about, can you listen, can you hear, can you understand what's going on? But what was most important was, what's the one thing that this minister said that really got you, Did that minister, to-be minister, did that minister pull it all together and inspire you with one aspect, something that really captivates you? Well, Christy Bodkins Reeves did one, and hers was on character. And in the Emerson essay, he gave 6 qualities of character. And I had to laugh that the 5th, because you know my number is 5, the 5th character, the 5th characteristic of character, the fifth quality of character was connection to the divine. Connection to the divine. You know what that means? What Emerson said all those years ago? That one of your greatest qualities is your ability to know that you are God, to know who you are, to remember who you are. Underneath all of this, remember who you are. Underneath all of this, are you willing to remember that there's a hero inside of you just waiting to get out if you have the guts to put on the cape? So Emerson said this in that essay: man's true character is the capacity to surrender to the universe moving through him. Well, I just want that to settle into you for a minute. And I don't know why this is making me so emotional. Because there's a whole universe moving through me right now. And if I get out of the way and let that happen, that's inspiration. That's when I'm inspired to think and create and write and dance and sing and all the things that I love to do. Ever since I put it out there that I want more creativity in my life, it's funny. A couple weeks ago, I was invited. An actor wrote me an email and said, would you consider doing a reading of a new musical? I haven't been asked to act in a very long time. And Kevin even laughed. He went, why'd they ask you? I was like, because this person remembered me from back when. And so I said yes, and I did it yesterday. And I showed up, and there's, 20 actors all sitting in a room, and, it was very interesting, because when I got the script, I had been asked to really read the starring role. And so I got this little bit of I remember what this was like. I remember how I had to actually be good at it. And I opened the show with a monologue. And I went in, and there was a room full of Broadway actors that I knew. And it was really a great experience, because man's true character is the capacity to surrender to the universe moving through him. You know what the universe moving through you isn't? Afraid. Yes. Right? You know what else the universe moving through you isn't? Judgmental. It's not criticizing you. It's not a critic. It's not seeing if you're as good as the other universe moving through the people. It just isn't. It doesn't care about any of that. And so I just took a deep breath and started. And it was a new musical version of A Midsummer Night's Dream. So I started with my monologue, and in my ear I heard myself going, wow, you are like chewing the scenery here. And I thought, but that's what the script's like, so I just chewed the scenery. I had the most wonderful time letting the universe move through me. It was so invigorating. And when we finished Act 1 and we took the break, the guy who wrote the play came up to me and he says, oh my God, you are perfect for this. He said, I just love what you're doing. You're just perfect for this. He said, would you consider this if we do a production? I went, remember when it started out and it said, Theseus, 40, handsome, muscular. He went, yeah. I said, I'm 70. Handsome and muscular. So we either fix the first page So this whole idea today of allowing yourself to find that thing inside of you, Julio said it perfectly. What is inspiration? Looking around and having fun. Finding what inspires you, what is the spirit in you, that big giant S on your chest, and then letting it out. Right, Judd? You did that on Friday night. Judd sat up here on Friday night, right about here. For those of you that were here, I don't know how you do what you do. He has these instruments and blows into things, and computers go, and the music was otherworldly. It was great. Scott's over here playing all of his instruments, and I'm playing the bowls, and Swan is in the back doing all this crazy techno stuff. And it was, talk about inspiration. There was one point I was sitting there, I stopped playing the bowls, and I just went, just listen at the universe flowing through all of us. It was just fabulous. I mean, that's what we're here to do. And if you haven't been to one of our soul immersions, please join us. We're always packed, but I'm happy to move more seats out of the way to give more people opportunities to experience that. So, surrendering to the universe. So Emerson said this, and I love this. A hero is no braver than an ordinary man, but he is brave 5 minutes longer. That's a good one. Isn't that good? So here's my question. How long each day do you remember who you are? How often are you clear? Do you remember who you are? How much of, Lisa, how much of the time you spend breathing and being awake and conscious are you breathing from that place of knowing who you are? I mean, it's what we teach. Remember who you are. And when I saw this quote, one of the reasons why I wanted to use it is because we just need to do it 5 minutes more every day. Just 5 minutes more. What would your life be like if every day, for 5 minutes more than you normally do, you remembered that you are the power of the universe, Tiffany? I know you do it 24/7, but most of us don't. Just think about that. If just 5 minutes more living in that consciousness, that remembrance of who you are. Here's another question. Do you pull that cape out when you need it? When something happens to you in your life? You know, are you like those, like I was when I was a Catholic boy? I always was talking to Jesus when I needed help. Anybody else? Yeah, when you need it. What I find funny is very often religious scientists, when they need it, they disappear. Because it seems like, wait, I should be able to handle this, so they go away. And you know, when anybody tries to do that in my life, I get right on them. I'm like, no. This isn't when you go away. This is when you lean in. This is when you take 5 more minutes and remember who you are. And then 5 more minutes after that. So, are you one of those people that only pull out the cape when you need it? And my second question is, and this is the big one, or are you one of those people who are just waiting for Superman to save you? Do you have the Lois Lane problem? How many Lois Lanes are out here? Huh? Yeah, right? We want someone. Yes, right. Liza, you are not Lois Lane. Right? So we do. We tend to think something, because we were brought up this way. Most of us were brought up Christian, I would think, or Jewish, and we were told that God is going to save us. Jesus is going to save me. I can't tell you how long I talked to Jesus from inside that trash can. And Jesus did nothing. Absolutely nothing except keep me company. Was you going to say that? Yeah, that's all Jesus did that day. So, today's lesson, that one thing I was telling you that I tell the ministers they have to do, the only thing that is ever going to save you in any situation, no matter what, is right on that board, to remember who you are. Because if you remember who you are, nothing and no one and no thing, no experience can derail you. That's the absolute truth. So, my last slide. I had to give Henry Carville at least one slide, right? Cavill?
James Carville, Henry Cavill.
This is James Carville's son, Henry Cavill. Yes. So, this is a job for Superman. Now, I have Superman on the board there saying, this is a job for Superman, but that's not really how that line is usually used. It's used by people saying, this is a job for Superman, we need to call him. We need to call out to something outside of ourselves to help us. But what I'm saying is, it's time for us to get on board with this quote. This is a job for Superman. You know what? Carol coming up onto this stage and singing that song at 10:30 in the morning, that was a job for Superman. Right, Carol? And I watched her face when she came up the steps, and I watched her make a decision. I am just going to sing this sucker, and we'll see what happens. Right? Is that what you were thinking? Always, right? Yeah. And I kind of felt that way yesterday. I was like, I'm just going to overact and really throw it out there and see what happens. I didn't have to sing any high notes, though, which was good. So, this is a job for Superman. Are you willing to start really remembering what's inside of you? We're talking about inspiration this month. The only way to become inspired is to be the inspiration, to know that that's what's inside of you. So, this little sentence, this is a job for Superman, I'm going to invite you to use it for the rest of this month, for as long as you like. Every time something comes up that feels to you like, this is bigger, this is too big, this is too much, How many of you have ever had a moment where you're like, this is just way too much for me? Yeah, we all have. Well, that's when you can say, Sonny, this is a job for Superman.
Superwoman.
And so forth. Yes. For a super person. Super them. Yes. John Livesey. Do you all remember John Livesey? He's been in Austin now for like 4 years, I think it's been. He teaches corporate. He goes to corporations and teaches corporate leadership. And he has his own cape. He literally bought a cape. And he makes everybody I'm not going to do it. Maybe I will. He makes everybody get up and take the Superman pose. And he actually makes, you see all these corporate people. You did it, didn't you do it once with him? No, and you never would you? Tiffany, come up here for a minute. Really, come up here for 1 second. Give her some encouragement, folks. What did you say?
You're the worst.
I thought you said we're divorced. I was like, okay. So what John does is he makes people just do this and now just stand there. How's it feel?
Chesty.
Me too. But just feel it. Doesn't it feel, is there a power to that?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Now eye gaze.
No, I can't eye gaze with her. I can do that, yes. But John talks about this. So this is a job. Now we're just going to say this is a job for Superman. And really give me some like big, Superwoman thing. Ready?
Okay.
No, I'm doing it with you. Oh, you want to do it by yourself once? Go ahead.
Yes.
Wait. You're behind my thing here. We want them all to see this.
Center stage. This is a job for Superman.
And then you went like that.
This is a job. This is a job
Wait,
for
don't-
Superman.
That was really good. Now don't put your hands on your hips till the word Superwoman.
This is a job for Superwoman.
Okay, you all have to do it. Everybody stand. It's good here. Good. Okay. Julio, come up and do it with us. Your inspiration for the day. Wait, you should do it once by yourself. Ready?
Okay.
Get chesty.
Just.
Not until the end. Go ahead.
This is a job for Superman.
Wow, see, that looks good. Doesn't that feel good?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. You ready, everybody? This is a job for Superman. Hold it. Okay, who didn't do it? One more time. Didn't that feel good? Didn't it, Virginia? Yeah. Virginia's like, sure. Can I sit down now? Okay, one more time, one last time. And this is a job for Superman. And scene. Thank you, you too. I appreciate it. So, what do you think you're going to leave here today remembering? Yes. You're going to remember that there is something inside of you, Lisa, that is bigger than anything that could possibly be existing outside of you. Do you remember that? Yes. Absolutely. You, Stan?
Oh, yes.
That was good, yeah. So there is something inside of you that is bigger than any aspect of life that could ever show up. And you are one of the people that prove that every day, Virginia. Yes. Really, you know that. Right, Cal? Right. Yes. So, I want you to go back and think about your younger self, your youngest self. Just your 7-year-old self. There it is, right here. And here you are today. I guarantee you, that 7-year-old self is inspired by this person. Know that. Remember that. Remember that right where you are, no matter what is going on, there is a hero that lies within you. And all you have to do is be willing to open it up, put on the cape, and stand in your truth by remembering who you are. Namaste.